Welcome to Beyond the Game. My name is Gregan, and today I'm chatting with Kieran Carlin, who's a full-time YouTuber.
And then I was like, you know what, I really like YouTube videos, so I'm going to do media.
So was that the bit you enjoyed the most? Was it the bit you were the strongest at?
I think I enjoy it because if it's editing and VFX, you can sort of make anything you want.
Today, however, I will be using it a lot.
I also think it's because then I don't really have to talk to it, I don't have to deal with anyone, I can just get on with the thing I'm doing.
How did you meet Will?
I tweeted a funny thing at him about Newcastle United. It was like, so there was this bloke.
So when I was doing some research about you, there is some random fandom wiki that has some interesting stuff about the person. So I want to ask you, what's your age?
I'm... What the hell, I don't...
No wonder it's wrong on it, you don't even know.
Am I 28? I think I'm 28.
Make sure to follow for future episodes and let us know who you want to hear from next. I hope you enjoy this conversation as you get to know Kieran beyond the game. Kieran, welcome.
Hello.
I'm excited for this
Yeah?
because you went away and did some prep. You had to listen to Robbie's episode.
Yes. I think it's important to do before you go on something.
And you're very excited to talk about your favourite games.
Yes.
But we do have to start where we met and your journey as a YouTuber. But let's go back to Max Fosh's live show.
Yes.
Where I was there alone because all of my friends were either performing or the intro. So Jack was doing the snap.
Yes, he was,
or there was
yeah.
a second show afterwards where they're like going to watch that. I saw you across the hall and went, I'll go over and say hi. And then at the time, I had no idea who I was, I'm sure. I barely knew who you were.
Yep.
And it was Zach Sunny as well there.
Yes.
And then we went and got some drinks in Spoons.
Yes.
That sounds very typical
Yeah,
Kieran
that
Day.
feels very on brand. I never go to Spoons, so I don't know, like...
It was just round the corner. But then we got chatting, and then since then, we've seen each other at parties all over the place. And I feel like you're one of those people who everyone wants around at like a party because you're always a lot of fun. Have you had that before?
No, usually I just get like, you just like disappeared. And I'm like, yeah, that's just sort of how I leave. It's just like, I won't tell anyone. I won't. It'll be like my best mates and I'll just disappear. I'll be like,
Sneak away.
Home. Yeah. I've just gone to sleep. It's like, you know, like when people say like, when a cat's about to die, it just leaves. You know, it's a bit like that. But on the night out, it's like, is he gone? Oh, okay, he's gone.
Because you're dying.
Yeah,
Drink too much.
That's pretty much it. But I always get home. So
You always get home.
Okay, yeah.
Well, that's why you're here because you managed to get home.
Yeah, I made it.
But you're a YouTuber.
Yes.
Started off in education, wanting to work in film production. So
Yeah.
one of the few people I think I have on this pod, we've had a few of them who actually educated themselves in the thing that they do now. You weren't a self-taught necessarily, even though there will be a lot of that around it. Tell me about how you first got into film production.
Well, it was actually like uni was more. I just wanted to have my own room. I didn't have my own room at home, so I was just like, I just want to leave Colchester. And then initially at college, I was like, I'd be content just like doing like IT stuff. Like in secondary school, we had at GCSE level, you could do IT like production or whatever it's called. So you learn how to build a computer essentially, and I was like, that's fun. It's just like bigger Lego. And then I did that, and then I did that more at college for a year, and I was like, this is actually really boring. It was like, how to code a website. I'm like, you just go on Squarespace or Wix, you just drag and drop it.
Other brands are available.
Yes, it's completely unnecessary. And then I was like, you know what, I really like YouTube videos, so I'm going to do media. So then I did media, and then wasn't going to go to uni. And you know those people who come in for a chat, and you're like, oh God, what's this? They came in for a chat, and they talked about like going to uni or whatever. And I was like, okay, I might go. And then did go, and then...
What was it about uni that enticed you in that chat?
It was just like, you didn't have to become an adult yet. You got given a bunch of money, and then you got to move out of home. I just wanted to like move out. Not family are lovely. I just wanted to like sort of have my own space. Always been obsessed with my own space. And yeah, and then I don't like writing essays and stuff. So I did film production because I just like to physically do things or make things. And then, yeah, I mean, it was actually like, there's camera bits I learned at uni, but editing wise was all just me and YouTube. Like I was just completely self-taught. The editing module I did at uni, I looked up on the syllabus or whatever, because they're making us use a program called Avid, which is horrendous. It's the most unuser-friendly program in the world, but it's like, oh, this is what all feature films are edited on. I'm like, well, that's because no one wants to change and move on. I was like, and it turns out you didn't have to use that to get through the module. So I just didn't go in, and I just did it on my computer and Premiere Pro at home, and then just did it that way.
So editing seems to be the bit that you're best at. You come away from that, and you, after film production, you went away and did some editing jobs freelance.
Yes.
So was that the bit you enjoyed the most? Was it the bit you were the strongest at?
I think I enjoy it because if it's editing and VFX, you can sort of make anything you want. I also think it's because then I don't really have to talk to anyone. I don't have to deal with anyone. I can just get on with the thing I'm doing rather than having to like wait around. I'm not. So I hate wasting time. I'm not I can't do like a wait around for an hour and a half. I just sort of lose my mind. I'm like I could be just doing something right now. But no, it was literally, I actually got a job before I left uni working at Football Daily, because I was like, I didn't want to move back home. So I was like, I just find a job. So I applied in January of the last year, and then it turns out they needed someone sooner. So I was like, boo. But I kept the email, and then just emailed again in like April. I was like, if there's anything, and they're like, oh yeah, come in for a day, and the office was in Oxford Circus, so that was terrifying. And then got that, panicked. I had to edit. So it was for a channel called 90+1 Facts, which was just 90+1 football facts about a random thing. I didn't know where they thought the channel was going to go, because that's a very limited, because once you've done a team, you can't do it again for another 10 years until the facts change. And then so you're going to have like maybe a couple bangers of all the big teams, and after that, like you can't do 90+1 about Sheffield United. It's just not gonna. There's limited reach there. But it was for that.
They'd gone for like 20+1. You'd have a few more videos out of each club.
Yeah. It was just, but it was like always like 45. It's like, it's like half time. But they had a series of like fact-based, like 101 facts and fact-based sort of. They were like BuzzFeed articles as videos essentially. Meant to be like evergreen, but it's sort of hard to be evergreen with football because it changes so often. But it was that, and then after like 6 months, it was like, oh, do you want to just join like the normal team at Football Daily? I was like, yeah. And then did that for a couple of years, and then got a job with Will.
I want to ask about how that happened, because we've had G Nelly on the podcast, who was a editor turned content creator, and she met the content creator she edited for, one of which was Will as well.
Yeah.
Through a party, I think.
Oh, okay.
How did you meet Will?
I tweeted a funny thing at him about Newcastle United. It was like, so there was this bloke who had like pitch invaded against Newcastle Leeds or something, and it was when Will was doing this big old like Subterranean thing, and I tracked Subterranean's text on the pitch, and then with the guy like running around it, and it was like, oh, that was funny. And then there was one other funny tweet that I sent him, which was also football related, and then he followed me off the back of that. And then I guess he just randomly saw videos I'd sort of tweeted out and uploaded. And and then well, initially he tried to get me to work at XO when that was a thing. I had a meeting. I snuck out one lunch. I had a meeting with Adam Boltwood, who was like the sort of main bloke. And I decided against it because it was like more time that I've always wanted just to do my stuff. And it was like at Football Daily, I got it down to a point where in reality I'd work about 3 hours a day and just smash out whatever video I'm doing, get in early, go home, and then make my own videos and then just complete a cycle. And the EXO job just sounded like it was actually a lot more work. So I was like, oh, I just have less time to do my own stuff. So
Yeah.
and then eventually a year after, came back. I think EXO had pretty much stopped at a point, and then Will was like, "Do you want to work for me?" I was like, "Yeah."
That's quite a big compliment, I think, because Will does go for very good editors. I mean, that's sort of like he sees high quality editing because he wants that in his videos.
Yeah.
So I feel like that is quite like if you said I was an editor for Will NE for a year, people are like, oh, that's good.
Yeah. So it's like Mikey's his current editor, and Mikey's like the best. Who also went to the same uni I went to.
Okay.
Just like a year after.
Good education.
Yeah, I think I recognised that he did a weird clip or a video or something on Twitter, and I recognised the car park he was in. And I was like, oh, that's Halls. That's where I was. So I followed him from that. And then, yeah, Mikey's content is, I don't think he uploads as much, obviously he's incredibly busy, but I think Mikey is still severely underrated. He's so funny. His own stuff he's made is so good. So I wish he would make more. Time for more.
So this is the thing with you. I think your content is, you're one of those content creators. I think you hear this a lot, where when I see a new Kieran Carlin video, I click it because I know it's going to be funny. I know it's going to be fun. And I've heard a few people say that about you when you've collaborated with them or like on podcasts and things like that. But one of the things that kind of YouTubers like you get is you're a very good collaborator, whereby people love having you in their videos because you're funny, you add to the content. Sort of like a Stephen Tries, those kind of people.
I'll take that, yeah.
What I want to know is, do you see much engagement on your content after you collaborate? Is it that golden nugget that gets your views up?
No, I don't know. I think it's more. I think it's there'll be hopefully. I don't know. I haven't asked Chris if it's going out yet or not. But filmed a video with Chris MD recently on his channel. So I'll be interested to see what happens after that one. I won't say what it is yet, but there's alcohol. And I got a last minute sub in, call up for that, and I was like, well, okay, I have to. So if I come across well on that, I'll see how that does. But I think it's better the other way around. I think if you've got someone else in your content on your channel, I think that's a more effective way round.
I see, because then they can directly see your channel.
Yeah, and then the video's more about like you and your ideas, and if someone coming in, their entry into it is like, oh, I like this guy, and he's in this guy's video, so I'll watch that. And you're like, oh, and then if they like the video, they like more about you. Whereas if you're in someone else's and they like you, they might just like you as like a side character sort of thing. Which is fine. Which is like, I feel like you got to view YouTube as it's like a holistic thing. It's like you have groups of people, and people like seeing interaction between people, and it essentially people become like characters, and like the whole thing's just one massive like sitcom. But you've just got to like, you have your bits and pieces. Because like Chris has like George Clark in a lot of his content. They're good friends now. Arthur's in a lot. They know each other for a while, but they're not like similar content that they do. But they just work, and then they sort of become like. So you'll like see a Chris video, and those other lot will be in it as well, and you'll be like, oh, this will be good because sort of how they get on.
I guess it's also the content that you're saying is, for a while, if you wanted to do football content, it made sense for you to do it on a football-y YouTube channel, whereas now you've got your own football channel. You can almost do that kind of stuff yourself. You'd be like, okay, let's do a football video on my channel. And then that's where you can entice someone who doesn't have football content to come over. And, I mean, the fact that you're here, you're excited to talk about video games at some point in this podcast. That's something that, you might not have a chance to talk about video games in your own content. So that's sort of where the collaboration can sometimes work quite well.
Yeah, it's really hard to... YouTube rewards if you do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. But just as a human, that's just mentally impossible. You like more than one thing, and if you keep doing one thing, you're like, I'm sick of this thing now. Which is what I struggle with the main channel, because it's just like, oh, I like films, and then I also like doing other stuff sometimes, and then I also like doing this because that's fun. And then you sort of, I think Robbie mentioned it on his podcast here as well. It's like you do so many things, and then it's hard to grow from that point because one group of people sub for one thing, and they want to watch more of that, and then another group will do this for another thing. So you got to like pick one, but I find it really difficult. I just think the idea, I do it because I enjoy it, like making stuff. So I'm like, if I had to just start doing stuff I didn't enjoy, I'm like, well, why am I doing it? I don't want to do it then. Like, there's no point. So I'm still looking for the sweet spot.
Yeah. I mean, that's the hardest bit is what goes viral might not be the thing that you want to keep pumping out.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm not that asked about like I want it to grow, but I'm not that asked about like money. So if a video does really well, but it was when I was like, meh, like sort of about, I'm like, oh, cool. But I'd rather a video that I sort of came up with and was excited about to make. I was really happy with making like the Fast and Furious one. And then there's a 37-minute video about watching a film franchise that did like 75k. And I'm like so proud of that. I'm like, I'm buzzing with that one. I love that so much. So it's just like, it's odd. It's an odd relationship with YouTube. Mm-hmm. But that's why I like Football Channel, because it's just dumb, stupid, quick, and people are like, yeah, I like it.
And football is very popular.
Yes, endless content. You just do the same thing next year.
So when I was doing some research about you, I found, as is the case with a lot of YouTubers, there is some random fandom wiki that has some interesting stuff about the person. And your one, I almost thought that you had done a video about it because it was so wrong in lots of places that I thought you'd had a mess around with it and thought it'd be funny to do that for a video. So I want to ask you, what's your age?
I'm... God, how old are I?
No wonder it's wrong on here. You don't even know.
Am I 28? I think I'm 28.
I'd assume you're 28 because it says you're 25, but it also says your birthday is 1995. So
yeah, 95.
Yeah. So I guess that just doesn't auto update, and they haven't got like
I guess someone has to type it in every
How do you identify your gender?
Yeah, I know what male, bloke, like
gender fluid.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. I can't remember anywhere where I would like. I can imagine like if I made a joke or something somewhere, but I can't recall making a joke. Maybe it's just a wild guess.
Okay, and then my favourite one is there's a personality section. Your personality, Kieran Carlin, has a very sarcastic yet funny tone.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll take that. Yeah,
that's good.
It's probably the most accurate bit.
In terms of his own channel, Kieran's content is varied. As described, including but not limited to eye tracking challenges, pub beer related videos, and viewer submissions. So this is a little bit outdated because that's sort of like 3 years ago, right? Correct. Here we go. It's been argued that at times it seems he has more of a square head than Will and E, but no one is courageous enough to publicly admit this truth.
Is my head square? I feel it's just big.
You haven't got as square a jaw as...
Yeah, Will's got the jaw, but I think my head's quite... I can't imagine myself bald. I feel like I've got like, maybe... I don't have the head shape for being bald. I think maybe that this bit's too high up or something.
You got a nice top fluff on your head.
I've given up with my head, to be honest. I just let it do what it wants.
And that was quite enjoyable to go through. And there was a little bit about co-hosted the Failed Internet Sensation podcast.
Yes.
One
of many. Alex, I love Alex. He just the amount. I'm trying to think the amount of. I feel like he just finds like white YouTuber with brown hair and beard, like just a new like a regen every single time.
See if it works. Didn't quite work. It's actually one of my favorite bits. Actually, is there's a bit that's not been filled in yet, but the text that they automatically put in is almost like a diss. So the career biography is this section may need more expansion. So that made me giggle. But anyway,
it's good. Yeah, no, I've seen it. I think my birthday on Famous Birthdays is like one day out. Not brilliant.
They just missed.
Yeah, just so close. I don't know how to get that wrong. I guess I don't know. Yeah.
Well, as I mentioned before, we see you in a lot of content, but the content you make, you've had some interesting content, but one of which was recently the Wii Bowling video, which I thoroughly enjoyed, having done a lot of Wii Bowling in my time. So you are a bit of a gamer.
Yeah, it's a really specific type though.
Okay. How would you describe yourself as a gamer?
I feel like I'm like a nostalgic gamer
Oh yeah.
sort of thing. I'm trapped in it. I'm like an old man who refuses to understand why chart music does well.
Oh,
You know what I
see.
mean? Like I'm sort of like I'm currently playing Red Dead Redemption 2.
That's
which
reasonably new.
I bought 2 years ago, and I can't. So the thing that winds me up, like I don't have TikTok. I refuse because one, I will like there's reels on Instagram, and I was sort of like, you'll just get caught up too easy, and all of a sudden you haven't done anything for 45 minutes, and you're like, I've gained. Not that you have to be productive all the time, or anything has to mean you've gained or learned something, but it feels like the biggest like brain mush ever. So I refuse it, but I feel like it's just completely like destroyed any sort of patience anyone has. So I really struggled to play any sort of games for the past, I think it was lockdown. I guess because the TikTok got so big then and whatever, and I was just endlessly making videos. It was like, so I bought Red Dead being like, oh, I love the first one. And then I just didn't have the patience to, I don't know, ride a horse for a minute or or watch a cutscene. I still skip a lot of the cutscenes now. I'm like, no, just watch them, just relax. It's just like a big film. It's fine. Like people's attention span's just gotten really awful. It's like even on the Netflix app, there's like a shorts bit which is just like just for laughs. I'm like, what's going on? Please, can we just have like
long form something?
Yeah, just sort of. Let's just sit in. I watched Oppenheimer yesterday. My girlfriend was just like, oh, halfway through, I just wanted to look at my phone. I'm like, no, don't.
Because that was a particularly long movie. That was 3 hours. So that would have been long even back in the day when movies were longer and more boring.
I mean, 3 hours is long. I don't think anything needs to be 3 hours.
No, split it into 2 parts.
Like, I need to watch the new Mission Impossible, which is 2 hours 54 minutes, I believe, which feels a long time for an action film. It does. I don't feel like it needs to be that.
That should be the extended cuts version.
Yeah, it doesn't. I might watch it today actually. I bought a Cineworld pass on the weekend because I'm like, well, I'm gonna watch at least 3 films this month, so I might as well. But yeah, games wise, so Red Dead Redemption 2, and then I do. So, but I'll think about like Pokemon, for example, and I'll be like, oh, I want to play that, and then I'm like, I got the new one last Christmas, or what? One of the more recent ones. I think
was that Scarlet Violet.
No, the Sword one.
Sword and Shield.
Sword and Shield.
Oh, unlucky.
Yeah, and I was like, and it was just so far removed from my favorite one, which is Gen 3.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, has this gotten worse, or have I just gotten older?
So I had this debate on Twitter recently. So I recently had a big nostalgia run over Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which is Gen 4. It was a remake of Gen 2. I believe Gen 4 is the best gen. So if you want to go back into it and get involved in an old game, I'd recommend Generation 4 because I think it still has that early generation feel of the 2D movement, top down. Gen 5 is good as well, but they started to get a bit 3D with some bits. But I would say once you get past Gen 5, it's like a new age of Pokemon. That was when it went 3D mode.
Yeah.
So if you do want to go and try new Pokemon, I would recommend Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and then Platinum.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did Diamond and Pearl.
Yeah, they were solid games. Bit confusing. They weren't the most obvious route through the game.
It was. Yeah, it was more. I think it was. I think I realised when I was playing a bit of Pokemon Sword, it was like, oh, I feel like I always thought, oh wow, imagine like an open world like Pokemon game, that'd be great. I'm like, well, actually no, actually I want the restrictive 2D sort of like box figure. Turns out that's what I like.
Yeah. Well, so the newest one, Scarlet and Violet, they really took that open world to the next level. And I would say if you're going to do open world, do open world, not this like pseudo open world that Sword and Shield and so like the big area in Sword and Shield where you could just roam around.
Yeah.
The whole world in Scarlet and Violet is like that. Even the towns are just towns within that kind of space.
Okay.
And so that's quite good fun because it is fully open world and like the Pokemon are roaming. There's not like the grass.
I know. I like not being able to see the Pokemon, and then you just walk it through and it pops up. Because if you can see it, I'm like, oh, does that feel like a surprise? That doesn't feel like a surprise.
No,
it's like a gamble every time you've seen some grass.
It's like a slot machine.
Yeah,
it's grass slot machine. Especially when there was like the 1% to 5% Pokemon, where you, if you knew where they were, you could grind that grass for hours to try and find one. Yeah, no, I'm with you. Gen 4 is my favorite gen. I do like Gen 3 as well, like Fire Red, Leaf Green.
Yeah, I think it's just that's peak. Like, I think that's the best shape of cartridge ever made, in my opinion. A very niche thing to believe, but that is. It was just good. I've seen like the little
like
Game Boy
half
Advance,
cartridge.
like I've seen like a picture of someone who's made like a massive like light, but it's a GBA cartridge like that big, and I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, the little lip so you could hook it out.
Yeah, it was good.
The fact you could blow into it if it ever got a bit
and
slow.
it was like the DS ones were fine. I don't know if I like the Switch ones.
You are so nostalgic, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'm feeling it already.
Yeah, it's really. But I'm also... Jay Swingler did a video about nostalgia as well. And it's also like... It sort of like tricks you. It's like the best feeling in the world. But when you think about actually back to that time, realistically, you're like, was that great? I always thought the future was going to be great. And then, so I just feel like people just like to avoid the exact time they're in them.
It's the grass is greener kind of thing, isn't it?
Endlessly, yeah.
Yeah, and then I've done that before with Gen 1 and Gen 2. So I always imagine Gen 2 as the remake Heart Gold Soul Silver. So when I go back and play it, I'm like, God, these games are so slow. The graphics are awful, that kind of stuff. And that's why sometimes remakes are quite a nice happy medium where you've got the modern engine, the modern look with the old gameplay.
It's like I had a period where I did some Twitch streaming and I was going through Simpsons Hit and Run.
Ooh, good game.
And,
No? Nostalgia.
I was like, oh, like this is like fun. Like, oh, let's play this. Everyone loves this. I was playing it. I was like, oh my god, this is boring. This is just like drive here. Okay, brilliant. Oh, collect some coins. Okay, brilliant. Like, there's nothing. But like in your head when you're younger, you're like, this is the best game of all time.
So is the advice you're giving here, if you've got nostalgia about a game, don't play it and then it will still remain good in your head?
Yeah, I think leave it.
Leave it.
Yeah.
Leave it
Just
as a memory.
Imagine it. Yeah. Apart from GTA.
Okay.
I think GTA holds up and you'll still love it as much. I think that helps because of the radio stations in it.
So you always got a bit of funky
music.
music.
I'm playing through GTA 4.
Okay.
At the same time now. And I think it's the radio station. But even that is still quite... I'm still trying to build up my patience again for not skipping cutscenes and stuff, which sounds odd. But
well, the problem you've got now with the way, especially with your career, and it's similar with me with the esports world, is you can always be working. There's never you can never just fully immerse yourself in a video game. What I had when I was casting last season, and I knew that all the work I had to do was each weekend. So I essentially had a week where I could just take the whole week off. And the new Pokemon Legends Arceus game came out, which was a very story-based game. It was a prequel. There's a lot of references. All the cutscenes were really important. The text that people were presenting you with was really important. So I was like, right, I'm just going to fully immerse myself in this. And I had a proper, like, grimy 2-3 days where I did nothing but play that game. Occasionally left the house to get some fresh air and then came back and played it. And that was one of my favorite gaming experiences I had in a while because I could commit that time, knowing that any time I wasted during that week was not a problem.
It's when you're thinking in the back of your head, you're like, oh, I should be doing... What's nice with Red Dead Redemption 2 now is that it's the first time in ages, in like years, that I'm actually like, when I'm doing something else or doing work, in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, I just sort of want to play the game. Which is a really nice feeling to have because it's been a while. But it's like, but it's also I got almost like a weird natural allotted time that I can sit at the computer before I just like lose my mind. And I play all my games on the computer, so it's like when it gets to the weekend, and if I've been on the computer for the entire week, I'm like, I don't really want to go sit in that room because I know I'm going to go there on Monday for 5 days again.
So you sort of have allotted yourself work hours so that outside of that you can have guilt-free gaming.
Oh yeah. I try and do an 8 till 5, 9 till 5 every single day. I can't do the waking up at 10. Can't. I just lose. I lose. If I wake up at like past 8:30, I'm like, oh, the day's done. I've gone. It's a write-off. There's nothing left because I hit lunch and I'll eat whatever food, and then I just won't move for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
I just sort of like, and then my head's just sort of like disappeared, and then I'll just be scrolling. I'll try to learn German.
German.
I'll do my little Duolingo, make some food, put something on the telly, and then after that I'm like, oh, I don't really want to go back in the room.
Yeah, so you start again tomorrow.
Yeah, it's just I have
alarm.
to cram in everything in the morning, and then I won't do anything past 5 o'clock. I won't. I can't.
No, I think that's
to do it.
I think that's a healthy way to have it, especially with the freelance / self-employed life. You need to allot your own time to make you as productive as possible, but also to stay sane.
Yeah. But it's also so hard because it's like you can't. If you take time off, you're just not getting paid. And the weird thing with YouTube is that you don't get paid for any work you do. So it's like you can spend 5 days on a video, or a week or 2 weeks on a video, you upload it, and you're just at the whim of people clicking on it. It just might not resonate, might not whatever, or I haven't had any problems with uploads recently that I know of, but you could get like, especially if you're doing like reaction stuff, a copyright strike out of nowhere and you've just spent the whole time and you've essentially done 2 weeks work for nothing, or week's work for nothing. So
I've had that a few times when I've live streamed and I've looked back on it, I've gone, I was working under minimum wage right there.
Yeah, I know, and it resets every single like day, like week. There's no like, and like if you look at analytics, it could easily be like, it's like you'll make all your money on like one day sort of thing, and you'll be looking at it like, oh, technically I'm on like £100 a month. Like if we were just doing it by like just today sort of thing. So it's really, but then you get to the end of the year in April and you're like, oh cool, I made that amount, that's cool. Like, but you still have the worry throughout the year being like, I don't know, it could be 15 grand and that's not good.
Yeah, and you never know where it's going to go.
Yeah,
you could be
you
trending down or up.
Yeah, so which makes it harder to be like, oh, I'll invest in like someone to help me with stuff. Yeah, you're like, oh, because if that goes well, then you've sort of let down someone else as well who's like, I don't know.
Well, you're sort of that size of YouTuber where you haven't got enough disposable income to start expanding and getting editors in, and you know, whether it's content planners, or you've got to just do it all yourself. And that's, let's be honest, it's one of the hardest jobs out there to do everything that a YouTuber has to do. But it's equally, it's not necessarily the difficulty of what you're doing. It's the mental challenge of having to deal with the highs and lows of it.
It's the shit. That's what, because it's like the best way to do it is not to get. It just like almost not be emotionally invested. So just be like, if it doesn't do well, that's fine. If it does really well, that's also, don't get too excited. But then it's like, well, you know, existing is emotion. So if you just remove emotion from it, then what's the point? Like, well, if you're just like stone cold, like dead inside, then like what's the point in getting up? Like, so you might as well go with it. It's like watching football and then being like, oh, don't allow yourself to care too much, because if you lose, you're going to be absolutely devastated. But if you win, it's going to be absolutely amazing. But if you just go like, then it's not really fun either way. So you sort of like let yourself into it. But it is like, I know, it's like the best job and the worst job ever. Pretty much. And I feel like I'm at a point where I have to either like, I have to sort of go back into like a grind and do as much as possible, which is what I did initially when I was working with Will, and also, well, Football Daily doing my own stuff, and then Will doing my own stuff. And then so I'm like, oh, but I've done my grind bit. I don't want to do that again. To sort of like break through to like the next bit. So I'm trying to work smarter now. I've got a weird thing where I feel like I have to put in a certain amount of effort to deserve the reward back, rather than thinking like, oh, I could do this thing really easy and quickly and I get a much higher return. I feel like I'm like going to get found out, or I'm cheating or something by like doing that, which is a really odd, stupid feeling. It's like I won't get a Lime scooter because I'm like, well, that's sort of cheating, isn't it? I'm putting in no effort there. I might as well get because walking's free cardio, so I might as well walk. A bike, even a line bike, I'm putting in some effort to get there, so I get a little bit something back. But if I'm on a line scooter, I'm like, well, I'm just going to get big. I need I need some water. I need to I need to work for it sort of thing, which is a really terrible mindset to have. But it's, yeah.
I mean, I resonate a lot with what you just said there about that I've put the grind in, because I feel that same thing with esports. Like I put the grind in. I used to work stupid amount of hours per week. I think there was a period of my life where I called it conscious hours. You might resonate with this, where anytime I was conscious, I was working. Where like when you're switching off, you're not really switching off because you're thinking about.
Yeah.
So I had that conscious hours period for a few years, and it's not healthy. It doesn't work sustainably. You also then don't have a social life. You don't see your family and friends. You don't look after yourself. You don't go to the gym. But then there was a fun point in my time where, because I was on camera, I could almost convince myself that going to the gym was work, because I was like, this will make me look better on camera.
Yeah.
So that even then, it's like everything is thinking about how it becomes work. And so where you get to that stage where like, I don't feel like I should grind anymore. It's almost like I want a work-life balance. It's not. You've framed it in a way, I don't want to grind anymore, but actually you're just asking for what most human beings want.
Yeah, and it's like, and then so now like the football channel, I don't do any major editing on it. I don't want to. I'm still doing more than I actually wanted to. Initially, I just almost wanted to upload it just an MP4 straight from my camera. But I'll cut out spaces because it'll annoy me. But I've got it down to like about 3 hours in total, including recording, editing, and doing the thumbnail and uploading. And then ideally, I want to get someone to edit that for me. So all I have to do is come up with the video idea, make the little PowerPoint I react to, or whatever I'm doing, record it, send it off, and then I can work like 2 hours a day and then just go do whatever I want. I think I'm trying to get into my, big ROI. Just big, like do as little as possible and get the maximum output as I possibly can.
It's also freeing up space to potentially do earning jobs where you could do like some consultancy, or you could edit for a one-off thing that gets you a good pay or whatever it is. So you opening up that space to do more efficient return on investment jobs.
The thing, I think I haven't done any work for anyone else since I left Will.
Oh, really?
I like people, but it's just I've got a thing where I just absolutely hate anyone telling me what to do or not do. I don't like even if I like them or whatever. I don't. It could even be like a brand deal or something, and if they'll be like, oh no, well we actually would rather this. I'm like, I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not. I can't. I don't. I don't like anyone. So the appeal of YouTube for me the whole time was I don't have to like take orders from anyone. You do from the algorithm technically, but that's like a random imaginary thing. There's no one being like, because what always used to do my head in about like normal jobs was, right, you were just at places just to like show up. It'd be like, okay, I've done all my work and there's 4 hours left. And I'm like, can I go home? No. I'm like, well, why? I've done everything, so why would I still? This is insane. And you're just there from just like appearances' sake. They'll be like, oh, you can't go home early because then other people will ask. I'm like, well, if they've done their work, then they can go as well. Like, I don't understand the problem. So that just stuff like that would always annoy me. And now I'm like, oh, I don't have to be like, can I go on holiday, please? Like, I don't, because I need to work, but but I don't have to ask anyone if I do want to go. So it's just that, I can't stand anyone just being like, so even if it's just like a project, like, can we tweak this? I'm like, no. No, I don't really want to do that.
No. Well, on that note of not letting anyone tell you what to do, can you tell me your top 5 games, please?
I will if I want to. So I wrote them down. Hang on.
You mentioned a few games here and there. You mentioned a bit of Pokemon nostalgia, some Rockstar games. Obviously, a fan of the old Rockstar games.
Yes. So I'll go from. So I got 6.
That's not a top 5 games. That's not how it
But
works.
I will tell you. I've ranked them already. I will tell you the sixth one that I've left out.
Okay.
5
Honorable mention.
is Wii Sports.
Okay. Tell me about Wii Sports.
It's I used to when God, is this what time is? When Woolworths existed. They had
time is.
Yeah, I know. You know, but I'm also okay with aging because I'm like, well, we're all doing it at exactly the same rate. There's no one getting older quicker than me, and no one getting younger. Like, it's just not how it works. But when the Nintendo Wii came out, it was scarce. It was really difficult to get a hold of, and it was 180 quid, I believe. It was pretty good
value for money.
Yeah, bloody hell. But it was impossible to get, and I was obsessed with trying to get one. And there was like websites where it showed you where it was in stock and whatever, and like stock alerts and stuff. And one came up on Woolworths, and I got it, and I was just so buzzing. I just clocked so many hours on Wii Sports because I couldn't afford any other games.
Did you get pro in all the different games?
No, I did that for a video recently because it was something I could never do because I was baseball honking at. Boxing always did my head in. I
thought boxing was the hardest one for me to get pro in.
There's a thing with games, especially when you're a kid, you refuse to learn. You're like, I'm doing the same thing and it should just work, but it's not working. Rather than, and then there's a sort of ego thing now where you're just like, well, I'm older, I can do it. I don't need to look at a tutorial. But it turns out if you do, then you will get pro in boxing relatively easily.
Oh, is that how you got it? Was it?
Yeah, I was like, okay, what do you do? And then it was like, it's just like dodging and then being sensible about it. Whereas you just think, well, boxing, move my arms as quickly as possible and I'll win, which you won't. And then with like the tennis as well, you can get up to a certain point just hitting it, but realizing you need to like twist it to do underarm or overarm or whatever, you'll get way further. But yeah, Wii Sport, it came with the console and I just hammered it. And then once again, I think the most nostalgic thing is the music. And I feel like and when I've recorded my Wii videos, it's been like, eventually you turn off the music because it's driving you insane because you're trying to do the same thing over and over again. But give it a day and it's back on. And then I've got a recommended video on my YouTube all the time, which is just like an hour of like Wii Sports, like bossa nova music. And I don't know why I clicked on it. And you just get through the whole thing without realizing. It's almost like, you know, like people used to go into war with some bloke playing the drums at the front. It's like that, but modern sort of thing.
So you'd like, play, if you did a walkout to Misfits boxing match.
Oh, yeah. It'd just be Wii Sports. Yeah. It's just like, it's almost like techno music. It's just like one constant sound, which is boring in isolation. But when you've got it, it's almost like a marching beat. Like, it works, it slaps.
Yeah. Oh, Wii Sports were a great game. Did you ever play Wii Sports Resort?
No, I didn't. I do think about someone was like, I sort of teased it at the end of the first Wii Sports one, being like, oh, I've done that, so now I'll go on holiday. And then the intro to Wii Sports Resort played. But and I bought the little end thing you need to play it.
Yeah.
The Motion Plus thing. But no, I still haven't played it. And I'm like, do I do a video on it? Because the Wii Sports videos are really hit and miss. I'm like, I feel like Wii Sports is iconic, but I don't know how iconic Wii Sports Resort is, sort of thing.
So Wii Sports Resort helped me find out one of my fears, weirdly. So you can go out on the jet ski around the water, and there's a whale that's out there.
Oh.
And you can get the jet ski to ride over the whale. And even within a video game, my stomach starts to turn riding a jet ski over a whale. So it turns out I've got a fear of big creatures being under me in the ocean.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think that's it's like people who are scared of the dark. I'm like, it sounds childish, but that's perfectly reasonable.
Can't see something.
Yeah. And your imagination will fill in the blanks or whatever. And most crime happens at night. So, and then when it's like the ocean or like small spaces or whatever, I'm like, well, yeah, I'm terrible.
Survival
Why would
instinct.
I go in the ocean? I saw a man on Twitter get eaten by a shark the other day. I'm not going in the ocean. I can't see down it. I just mental.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you can drown in like that much of water. I'm like, so why would I get more? I'm not jumping off a boat. You're insane. I know my swimming ability and it's not amazing. I can barely float. I just, yeah. So I'm just like, well, I'm not getting in the ocean.
So it's a very rational fear that I have there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Perfectly fine. Yeah. It's only like if you're like scared of cucumbers, then that's weird. But like, yeah. But that's perfectly reasonable.
Okay. Thank you for validating my fear.
That's fine. Yeah.
So number 5 on the list, top 5 games.
Number 5 is Pokemon Sapphire / Ruby, Emerald, Fire Red, Leaf Green.
So that's 5 games.
That's 5 games. So I had Sapphire.
It's actually, I'd say it's 3 games because I would put Fire Red Leaf Green as the same and Ruby Sapphire as the same.
I guess Emerald because it was like a combined. The third one was like always like, you know,
Bit better.
yeah. But Sapphire was the one I had first, and so I think that's more in my heart. I think most people got Ruby.
I had Ruby.
I
lost it. I don't know where it's gone. It's one of the only Pokemon games I don't have anymore.
I think it's because I support Man City. I was like, oh, blue, and then everyone was, everything's just based on colours. Really, I'm so
Blue.
visual. That's I'm like, oh, the red one, no. Like, I can't even go near like a something that's made by Sharp because they were Man United sponsor for ages. So I just associate it with them, and I'm like, no, I'm not using it, which is absurd. But like
that's that's irrational. Like that.
Yeah. But I'm like, well, the game's a game. Okay, I'll see like a printer made by Brother, and I'm like, cool, because they sponsored us for like 10 years. I'm like, yeah, one of us, just a company. It's stupid, but you know, it's fun.
They got you.
But yeah, Pokemon Sapphire. I think it's just I think it was the perfect time it came out to like what age I was whenever it came out. It's like people being like, oh, what's your favorite FIFA? It's probably everyone's thinks it gets worse later on, but I think you just get older. So like people be like, oh, what's your favorite COD? And some be like, oh, some recent one. And someone will be like, oh, it's terrible. I'm like, well, no, you think the one early is better, but that was just because the time you were. I think it's more age dependent.
Yeah, I agree on that.
But Sapphire, I just think the art is so sick. I remember trying to learn how to make my own one using just random like tools on I could download on from the internet. And I think, was it Mudkip?
Yeah. Do you like Mudkip?
Yeah. I think he was my guy.
Yeah. That's a meme, by the way. I don't know if you know that meme.
Was it? No.
Yeah. I actually looked up the origin of it the other day because it's not very clear where it came from, but it just became a thing on the internet. People ask, do you like Mudkip? They'd spell like wrong, like L-I-E-K, and then Mudkips would have a Z at the end because it's cool. Yeah.
It's there's a bit in the game where it's sort of, if you've got the map there, it's up here and it's all really foresty, and there's that Pokemon that's like a cloud. It's blue, and the middle of it's like a cloud. It's like a bird looking thing. I can't remember the name of the exact one, but I always got stuck at that point, and it would drive me insane. I just couldn't beat it. That and Slay King, when you had to go against the gym leader with that fella.
Yeah.
That used to do my head in.
He's a big chunky fella, but when you actually learn his downfall, it's the Truant ability. It means you can't attack every other turn. You can just play around that. But that's the thing. Like that, back when people play Pokemon when it's their most nostalgic, I think it's when it's the least serious for them. For me, Pokemon became very serious around Gen 4. And then from that point on, every game I played, I would look up all the Pokemon beforehand, try and work out how to min-max it. And I think Gen 3, Gen 4 was when I was still in that, oh, that's a new Pokemon, I've never seen that before phase. So
I've also realized people go like, oh, the names for Pokemon now are silly. I'm like, no, they've always been silly. Like, there's one called Muck. Like, if that came out now, you'd be like, it's a pile of muck, and you called it Muck.
The Seal is called
like,
Seal.
Yeah, like, it's just like, have you seen the foreign names for Pokemon?
Well, it's funny you say that.
It's the funniest thing. I had no idea there was other names.
I've got a poster with all the French names on.
Ronflex, the best one for Snorlax.
Snorlax, is that Snorlax?
It's called Ronflex. It's so good. It sounds like a building material.
Yeah.
Like,
and there's like Dracolos is Dragonite.
It's just it's the funniest thing
for Eevee. Yeah,
it's so good. Because I'm like, do you need to translate them? Someone French could say Snorlax, couldn't they?
Well, so they don't translate all of them. Some of them are the same, but it's French and German have different names for the Pokemon. But then the rest of Europe, they just use the English names. I think so. In Italy, they call them by English names. Spain, English names.
So I get there's some noises that some countries just can't do, and vice versa, obviously.
Yeah, but I wonder who makes that decision. Who's like, this isn't a good word for those people.
Yeah, they must just ask. Yeah, just like a native speaker who's like,
no,
yeah,
that won't fly.
Yeah, Ronflex sounds, because Ronflex does sound absurd.
Yeah, but Snorlax. Imagine a French person
he's
saying
snoring and he's lax about life.
How would a French person say that then? Why would that be a problem? Snorlax?
Snorlax.
Yeah, it's not a problem.
Yeah, it sounds quite nice in French.
Yeah. Anyway, game 3. 4.
GTA Vice City.
Okay, that's the third one, is it?
Yeah.
I can't remember. That was a bit before my time because we were technically underage for those when they came out, right?
Fourth. It was after GTA 3.
So is that GTA 4?
Oh, but I don't know where. I never played San Andreas. That was the one I didn't play, which everyone absolutely loves. No, I liked it. I think it's the 80s music. I just think you can't beat it. And just have a good soundtrack when you're running down civilians is just unmatched.
That's the problem with Hit and Run, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just, yeah. I'm like, I can't, like, they get back up every time. This is like, what's going on? It was just, so I still listen to all the radio stations now. I just type in, and it's just like all the jokes in them and whatever. It's just really funny to listen to.
I think the radio station thing, a lot of people talk about FIFA in that way. FIFA music, and I think that's one of those key points in any video game that makes them good. Whereas now, like Rocket League is my game, that has a lot of really good songs in it, but it's very like EDM focused. So those games were the ones that had like indie music, they had rock music and all that kind of stuff. And they often, you found niche bands that you'd never heard of.
Yeah, and something that you would never normally listen to. Especially like FIFA. Probably exposed a lot of people to like, sort of like indie music sort of thing. Which they'd probably never listen to normally, but they're here now like, oh, FIFA, banger. I think it's also easier to associate like an emotion with music, especially when coupled with a game, sort of like with a feeling rather than like just a game with not a soundtrack. I think there was something like, for like they made it, they specifically were like, we have to put in, they were going to make the music themselves for the radio or whatever, but then someone was like, no, we have to put in just actual, like make an actual radio station with actual songs. Which
even
I
if it
reckon
costs money.
Definitely helped with the success of it, I think. I think it's integral. I think it's just this. Yeah, it's fantastic. I'll probably play that one. And it was still an era where like cheats in the game were like something special. Like you're like, oh my God, if you press like it was difficult to even, it was like a task to try and get the cheat to happen. You have to like find it online and you write it on a bit of paper and put it in the wallet of the game case, and you've just been like up, down, left, right, and whatever, and then you'd be like cheat unlocked, and you had flying cars or something to try and get over the bridge to the island that you just hadn't unlocked yet because you were just killing people and not playing the missions.
When you were looking for those cheats back in the day, did you find those sheets where they'd also have some fake things that you could find in the game? There would be like so you used to do it with Smash Brothers. They'd have all the ways to unlock everything. You get the list of them, and then there'll be a few which are really hard to do, so most people wouldn't ever bother doing them. And there'll probably be a video out there of someone's faking doing it, and then it would be like, oh, beat all 50 bosses on hard mode and you unlock this character. So all these young kids are like, oh, that's great, that character's in the game. And all of those kind of, because it was like early internet where it was all community run, there was so many false cheats out there that you're like, oh, that doesn't work.
Oh yeah, and it's like where's the only enjoyment you'd get from doing that is being like, you'd never get any confirmation that people, you'd just be like, yeah, I've ruined someone's day. I made them do a completely worthwhile, like a worthless task, like just for no reason. I read that, to be fair.
Rockstar Games, you're a big fan of those. I wonder if there's any more in the top 5. So we've got Wii Sports honorable mention, Pokemon Sapphire or Emerald, depending on how you're feeling. GTA Vice City, and then we've got next.
I'm for FIFA 11.
So you explained why a FIFA would be your most favorite FIFA.
And I was like, I can't really particularly differentiate between a series of them because they are pretty like incremental, not much changes.
You'd have been a mid-teen then, around like 15-ish, is it?
Yeah, 11, it would have been like peak. Yeah, 15, 16. It'd be peak coming home from school and just thinking about like, okay, can we just jump on FIFA? Are you on Xbox later? Yeah. Cool. Which was by far the best period. And yeah, just endless pro clubs. I used to hammer career mode as well. I never played Ultimate Team. I had a period of playing Ultimate Team for like 2 years maybe, but ultimately I was like, initially it was weird. I was like, why do you want to play a card game on the screen? I just want to play the football thing. But I've always preferred story sort of to endless, like sort of, I don't know, like I never really got into like any battle royale kind of games. I probably played like 2 games of Fortnite ever.
So you like the career mode?
Yeah, I sort of like.
Would you go Man City? Were you a loyal club?
Because it felt too. I'd always go Colchester, where I'm from, because they were like League One or League Two, and then I would try and just hope I got bought by Man City.
I see.
Because I'm like, I don't want to start at the top because then there's no storyline.
Yeah.
I realise that because that's my enjoyment of football as well now. I'm like, you know what? Tactics are sometimes interesting, maybe how someone individually plays or whatever. But ultimately, it's storyline that matters. Like, and then that's really why I love films so much. It's more when you realise like, it's just about like storyline.
Let's have a chat with Marvel. Tell them that.
Yeah,
I need to learn about character development.
I can't stand Marvel. I can't do it. I just can't do it. I'm glad that all their stuff is tanking at the moment.
Yeah.
Good riddance. Just don't care for it. It's just too easy. I don't know. Just naff.
It started good.
It was. I got to Iron Man 2 and I was like, I'm done after this. I'm not. I can't do it anymore.
An early hater. I respect that. I'm a post Endgame hater.
Oh no, I
still consume it, but I hate it every time.
I got to the second Avengers or something, and I was like, nah, I'm out. But yeah, FIFA, and I just reckon that's the one I probably played the most. But yeah, all career mode. Pro clubs, one of the most frustrating things ever. But when you got going, and with like a couple of your mates, it was like akin to, I don't know, like Modern Warfare 2 online. Just like peak of, like, this is so much fun.
Is that a spoiler?
No.
Modern Warfare 2?
No Call of Duty in there.
Oh, should we go on to number 2 then?
Yeah. I think you might be surprised by my top 2. Second, The Sims 2. Absolutely fantastic.
I'm not laughing at the fact that Sims 2 is a great game. Like, I'm not laughing at that. It's just the way you juxtapose that with talking about FIFA, talking about the peak of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and then just 180 straight to Sims.
I can't play The Sims now because I used to watch a lot of Rooster Teeth, and then on one podcast, Gavin Free said he used to love The Sims before someone told him, like, it's real life. Like, you could be a fireman if you could just live sort of thing.
And that ruined that.
That ruined it. And I'm like, shit, that's ruined it for me as well. I can't do it now because you're doing it. I'm like, this feels like a waste of time because I don't know how to drive. I should probably do that. I should learn that rather than like getting this guy to work out for 18 hours a day so he can be, I don't know, a helicopter pilot or something. Like, it's just, it's just stupid. He gets engaged in a day because he talked to the neighbour for 5 hours. But I was obsessed with, just like, I don't know, I guess because you're playing at a time where you're like a child and you think being an adult's really cool and you're like, I can have my own house, I can build my own house, I can have this, have that.
Sims characters have got good riz as well, haven't they? They move fast.
It's efficient. It's very efficient riz. They're very prone to lighting up a barbecue in a room with no doors. Very odd. I don't know why to go swimming with no ladder to get out. But it was just, I like creative things and where you can like build your own thing. And I think it's just like sort of when you're young, the glorified idea of like, you can have my own little flat and like or whatever, or I can get a car, or I can get this. So I sunk so many hours into The Sims 2, and you got all the expansion packs, and your computer would break down. And so I'm like, once again with the music, obsessed with the music from The Sims 2.
You're a big music person.
I think every single song's a banger, and they're all on Spotify. By like the artist name's really terrible. Like, it's like Mother something. But
are they non-copyright? Because sometimes those
I
games
think
have
they
them.
don't claim it. I
Because
definitely just
if
absolutely
you're
hammered.
playing the game
Mm,
and you did content of Sims, you would have their music on.
yeah.
So they would then be able to claim every Sims game, right? So
Yeah, I've used so much Sims 2 music. They don't claim everything. Like
No.
I think Nintendo are going to be notoriously odd with claiming stuff, but they haven't claimed any Wii Sports stuff I've had at all.
I guess it's not necessarily because they won't claim it, it's because they haven't found it yet.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what. Yeah, so I just keep pushing my luck until
Yeah.
the day has come.
Yeah, because that's what Nintendo were like. They were very open about people using it, and then one day they just claimed everything. And
Yeah,
then
you
everyone was
gotta
"What?"
and I'm sort of like of the mindset when people are like, "Oh, this is so crap." I'm like, "Yeah, but you sort of knew that when you're uploading it. Like, I know there's a risk they could just be like, okay, we're going to take these down now." I'm like, but they've already done what they'll learn anyway, so I wouldn't particularly be asked. But it's like when people used to have like a copyright song for like their outro. I'm like, don't. That's so dumb.
That's so risky.
Because there will be a day where people just take it, and then there obviously
and they can claim every one of them. Then.
so you've got to go back through all your videos and edit out the end bit.
Yeah. Well, so I'm intrigued now what number one is.
Number one.
Because number one is going to be...
Do you want to guess?
Based off of what you said so far, I reckon Red Dead Redemption.
Okay. Battlefield 2 on the PC.
Solid game.
Fantastic. It was like 64 players, I think was the max. And me and my older brother used to take turns playing it every time we died on a computer where we had to like, you'd pull the drawer out and then had to put the keyboard on top of it. And it just wasn't a computer desk. It was just like a thing. Yeah, music and that absolutely slapped as well. The load music.
It's all the music.
But there was nothing better than being in a full, in like the Gulf of Oman or something, or Strike at Karkand, and you're in like either... So the two best scenarios, the most terrifying ones, you're capturing an outpost. If you're doing... I think the best type was Conquest on that. Because it was just like free roam. And you'd get like a little squad, and then you'd be capturing it. And then you'd see the thing go down, and it would stop, and you're like, okay, that means there's an equal amount of people around here somewhere. And then you just hear like a tank roll in, and you're just like, it was the most terrifying thing. But then like, and it was fun having like squad rolls. So it would be like, if you had a medic or whatever, you're being blown apart by a tank, and they just go, and you're back. Which, I don't think that's accurate. So I've got no torso left, but yeah, sure, mate.
Clap that up.
And then I'd be the C4 guy. I think it was the engineer. And just the fear of running around the tank and trying to place it and then run away and blow it up. I do a lot of suicide like that because I'll be like, I'll take one for the team and just
The medic can come and set you back up. It's fine.
But that, and then also flying in a full helicopter, not an attack one, but just like it'd be like you're at the beginning of like a Vietnam film. Just
like
in a full chopper,
one.
yeah. Just like everyone go in, jump out, try and take it. Or like Wake Island in Battlefield 1943. They did 42 and they did 43, like a little off random game you could buy for like 1,800 Microsoft points.
We were talking, so I was talking about it with Harry, our producer, about what games have been said. 'Cause this is episode 36. We've heard a lot of top fives. And we went, there's not been a lot of Battlefield been mentioned.
I was always Battlefield over COD.
Yeah.
I think I was always like, it was a team element sort of thing. I didn't like, I loved World at War because I think World War II is just a, I say, what a great war! What a fantastic one that was!
Not sure you can
the
say
films
that.
and stories from that one. Oh wow! But much better. The sequel was much better than the first one.
Not sure you're allowed to say that. Are you?
No, but just from like the story. Like if you want to do like Oppenheimer's gonna absolutely. I thought it was fine. I thought it was good, but if you want to win an Academy Award, do a film about World War II. If you look at the winners, it's just like endless.
The storylines
like,
from it. Yeah.
It's like it's the one people sort of obsessed with the most, which is odd.
Well,
I guess it's just the most recent one.
Yeah. I guess it's the one which is studied the most as well.
Yeah, and it was like the one to end.
Yeah.
Probably the last.
Yeah, the last
You
Great
hope the
War.
last.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good top 5 there.
Yeah.
I say a lot of quite popular games, but
Yeah.
they're not ones that like you haven't gone for the most obvious. Like with FIFA, you went for what was true to you, and with Pokemon, you went for what was true to you.
Yeah.
A lot of popular series, but you went for the ones that.
I was like, I'll pick the ones which I'm like, yeah, that's
With the best music. Pick the ones
Yeah,
with the
pretty
best
much
music.
the best music. Yeah, I think the music. Yeah, if you don't go and play the old games, just listen to the music, and you won't. It doesn't ruin the game by playing the games. You'll just realize you're older. I think that's pretty much it.
What I like to do is go back and see speed runs of games that I played for like 20 plus hours and see someone do it in like 30 minutes. It's always quite fun.
I didn't put skate in there.
Well,
I wonder where I would have put that.
yeah, time is up,
Fantastic,
I'm afraid,
yeah.
on the top 5. You've locked it in now forever.
Yeah, fine.
Can't
Shout
change
out
your opinion.
Skate Free.
Well, we have overrun a little bit because I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation.
Nice, good.
I do want to give you a chance to sort of talk about what's happening next for you. So what's next for Kieran?
I want to get 100k on the football channel by the end of the season, and then have a
subs
month
or
off. Yeah.
Because you're kind of at that stage where you're getting more views than subs. You sort of algorithm
Yeah.
mode.
Yeah, just loving it. And then I was like, okay, I'll just smash this week and see how much sort of like what it'd be like if I managed to upload every day or every other day on the thing, on the football channel. And I'm like, it's doing well. And I'm putting in like, it's so much more fun when you just don't care and you're not overthinking it. I'm like, this is funny. Like I did a video about like Aston Villa, West Ham and Burnley having the same kit. I was like, I tried to fix the Aston Villa, Burnley and West Ham problem. And that did like between 12 and 15k. I was like, oh, all right, I'm going to do a video where it's just like, I try to make a good Tottenham kit, which doesn't sound like, but I'm like, I always slag them off. And I feel like no one likes a Tottenham kit. So there might be something there in that. But also I'm like, that'd be fun to make. So it's in a really nice period. I'm going to try and keep that through. I'm good friends with Ellis Platten, who's popping at the moment and does lots of football stuff. And just through the season, I just want to. I watch those football anyway, so I just want to absolutely smash that and see where I am at the end of was it May, and then just have a month off because you don't get to do that with like a normal channel. But like that's when like football content's like you've done the whole thing. So it'd be nice to. It's the work-life balance sort of thing.
And we might see you keeping in some big games, maybe.
Yeah, I need to try and worm my way in some. I won't get an assignment one. That's gone. But if this was like 5 years ago, then sure. But it's gone like international now, so it's like it's not happening. But
You could be a sub. You could be a backup.
I'm okay with that. Yeah,
Backup option.
if someone's legs fallen off the day before, then maybe.
To even get a battlefield medic to heal them up.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you coming on, Kieran.
It's all right.
I thoroughly enjoyed hearing your top games. As I mentioned to you before we did the podcast, it's always great hearing people who don't speak about gaming in their content talk about gaming, because we're all gamers deep down, most of us anyway. And there's always some story, and I loved hearing all of yours about all the different games there. But we end the podcast asking the same question to everyone, and that's, what does gaming mean to you?
I think it's the perfect example of joy for joy's sake. There's no, ultimately, it doesn't mean anything because, you're just playing a thing that's coded, or any achievement doesn't technically mean anything in the real world. So being happy about something that's happening in a game, or getting something, or like maybe it's, finding all the pigeons in GTA that you're buzzing about, like, and just getting pure joy from that is like the most like wholesome thing. So
Joy for joy's sake.
yeah, joy for joy's sake.
Thank you very much.
All right.